When TeamBuilder initially dropped, I had an idea. And that was to recreate the University of Maine, as we were going to do. And to probably do the promotion relegation challenge again, stuff like that. With TeamBuilder, not that it stopped certain people, but with TeamBuilder, a lot of people have still gone on to recreate, like, you know, lower level schools and stuff like that. I decided not to do that just in case they actually, like, really crack down on people. But the alternative idea that I ran with has turned into a created school that is better than I ever could have imagined. Again, I am not done with Ball State, because that school we have put into a really damn good position. But this custom team, this custom school, I fell in love with so quickly that I have no choice but to run with it now. Absolutely no choice. So allow me to introduce you guys for the very first time to our new custom school via TeamBuilder. Allow me to introduce you to the Blue Moose of TOUGLANE. Like I said, this worked out pretty damn well, all things considered. I am absolutely overjoyed with how this team has turned out. With the fucking antler helmets. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable what you can do on TeamBuilder. And we are going to have so much fun taking control of this team and bringing them to the next level. I am so goddamn hyped to use this team. You got the turf. Almost made it blue turf, but it was pretty distracting. But I adore the way this team looks, the way this came out. This team's insane. Shout out to Sinistry for the 2 months, by the way. A quick look, by the way, again, at what the uniforms look like in game. Obviously, the helmets, the horns are chromed out, or the antlers are chromed out. So it looks a bit funny on this screen, but in game, it looks phenomenal. And then obviously these ones are the chrome buckets, but with the antlers not being chromed out. And then this alternate option, which is awesome.
A few moments later.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Let me gain my composure here. So here's my big warning to people using TeamBuilder on CFB 25. Do not try to edit a player that was generated by the website. If you are going to edit anything about them, do it while it's on the website. Because if you try to do it, once they are in the game, they can glitch out like this. No picture, obviously, which they wouldn't have one anyway, but no name, drop to a 12 overall, and having this player locks you out of being able to load into the game because the game registers it as a missing file. I cannot cut him. He just graduated, yet still appears on this list, which means I'm fairly certain that once we get to the preseason, I'm not going to be able to encourage him to transfer either, because he doesn't technically exist. So that is your public PSA, which is what the P in public stands for. Do not try to edit anybody that the TeamBuilder website generates. It will probably screw up your file like it did for mine. Thankfully, we were only 2 seasons in. But that's still a lot of progress I wish I didn't lose. So, yeah, your friendly PSA there. I'm going to go cry now. So allow me then to explain again what is going on for anybody that is confused, that missed it, whatever, because technically this is the second time I get to explain what the hell that we're doing. Because we, again, just simulated 2 seasons in Dynasty and ran into a glitch with TeamBuilder, which sucks. That does mean that we have to start over, but I think in the long run, it'll probably work. And let me mute the game audio because we're going to get the dude talking to us. Again, to do a TeamBuilder Dynasty, you got to be on the cloud, which sucks. You also have to be on the default roster, which kind of sucks. But in terms of the team builder, again, my biggest piece of advice to you guys, do not try to edit the generic players that it adds to the game. It'll fuck up the game, and you're going to have to restart because it's going to create like a ghost player type of thing. It's really weird. Maybe, especially on the YouTube side, I might include what happened. I won't include the freaking episode's worth of runtime that we had, but I'll at least include the glitch. Yeah, we've learned some lessons, right? Loving the hell out of this game. TeamBuilder is a really solid function. Yes, it could be fleshed out a little bit more. So I don't know if we're going back to Ball State anytime soon or not, but we had a really good team there. But TeamBuilder is fucking sweet, and I love it. We are not only using TeamBuilder, we are going to be using custom conferences again with promotion and relegation, as we have done in the past. Meaning that the conference championship winner gets promoted, the worst team in the conference gets demoted. That's how that's going to work. It really sucks trying to sum up something that I've explained before, but now we're having to restart, and it's just weird, and I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. I feel like I'm trying to conjure a spirit or seduce you. Is it working? I hope so. So what we're going to do is go through the entire setup of this since we're having to restart. God, restarting's the best. But you know what? It's going to work out for the best. Now, first things first. Again, we are going to be using our team builder, the imported team builder option. And for those that haven't seen it, well, most of you have at this point because the surprise is kind of ruined. We have a lot to set up because, oh boy, don't we? In terms of organizing these conferences. But again, it's going to be all about the journey of getting from that bottom conference all the way up to the top tier, winning a national title and becoming the best team in college football. Now, in terms of the team that we're going to take over, on the initial run, we took over Ball State. However, I learned something about TeamBuilder. Whatever team you replace, you are technically inheriting their pipeline. So even if your fictional team is from Botswana, if you replace a team from Texas, it's going to recognize you as being in Texas. So we're not going to replace Ball State, who are based in Indiana. The obvious shout for me is to replace either UConn or UMass, given that, again, my fictional school here is based in my home state of Maine, New England based. And UConn can suck it. How dare you have red on that logo, but you don't have any red on your uniforms? What's the matter with you? UMass is staying, so I'm going to replace UConn with TOUGLANE for this one. Yeah, UConn in this fictional world can get relegated down. We'll just use the team builder roster, and now we know not to touch them. So what we are going to do here is organize these conferences by prestige and by overall. So the highest rated teams are going to be in the highest overall conference, which we have designated the most prestigious conference is the SEC. So what we're going to do is add the highest rated teams as judged by our lovely new friends at collegepigskin.gg. We're sorting it by overall. If there's a tiebreaker, whatever, the way they ordered it is the way they're going, and that is how we are going to dictate who is going into what conference. So we start off in the SEC. Unsurprisingly, Georgia is staying. Georgia Bulldogs in that top tier. No doubt about it. Now, what we're going to be doing as well is that there are going to be 12 teams per conference. And you know what? We can change this over now. 12 teams per conference, 14 teams with independent status. We're adding a lot more prestige and importance to the conference because within the conference rules, no divisions and your number of conference games is going to essentially be maxed out once we have optimized these. That way, aside from maybe one, maybe two times a season, you're going to directly be playing the teams in your conference, and those games are going to matter that much more because only the conference winner is going to get promoted to that next up tier, while, of course, the team at the bottom of the conference will get relegated. If you're in the SEC at the top level, you can't technically get promoted. You get the bragging rights, though, of being the best of the best. And if you're in the bottom tier, Well, you can't get relegated if you're the worst team. It just means you're the worst goddamn team in football. So in terms of optimizing this, we have Aussie, check out my Twitter. I just put up a clip of what happened. We have the Georgia Bulldogs. We are going to be adding from, drum roll please, the Big Ten. Ohio State moves to the SEC. The Ohio State Buckeyes going to be team number 2 on this list. And actually, give me 1 second here just to do something in terms of the file that I have. Let me just make it easy for myself long term in terms of keeping track of who is going where. But yeah, again, it sucks we have to restart this, but it is what it is. You know, just be very, very careful. Again, the glitch that happened, do not edit players on the generic TeamBuilder roster once you are in the game, or that can cause a whole lot of issues, unfortunately. Like it did for us. It did, in fact, cause a whole bunch of issues. It literally basically locked us out of being able to load into the gameplay. So it's great if you never want to see gameplay. You're fine. Edit away. Otherwise, leave your editing for the TeamBuilder website. Otherwise, yeah, you can run into some trouble. You sure can. Like I said, give me 1 second, because this was a very spur of the moment that we ended up trying to redo this. There we go. So, again, in the SEC, we have Georgia. We have Ohio State. Unsurprisingly, they keep the Alabama Crimson Tide. Moving over from the Big Ten as well, the Oregon Ducks. You just got there, and guess what, buddy? You're already gone. As we'll move Oregon into this conference as well. We have the Texas A&M Aggies, who will also be staying in this particular conference. Coming over from independent status, no surprise, it's Notre Dame as the 6th team of this top conference. The Texas Longhorns maintain their spot, while coming over from the ACC will be the Clemson Tigers. Clemson team number 8. Team number 9, also from the ACC, will be Florida State. So Florida State makes the move. Team number 10, already in the SEC, the Oklahoma Sooners. Sooners stick around. Coming over from the Big Ten, it will be Michigan. Michigan coming over. Team number 11 for Michigan. And your final team in the top tier, the Tennessee Volunteers, maintain their spot. So momentarily, Arkansas head to independent status. Auburn, temporary parking spots. The Florida Gators will move to the Pac-12 for the moment. Why not? Kentucky off to independent status. Mizzou also off to independent status. And last but certainly not least, shockingly, is LSU. Do not make that top tier based off of overall, or at least based off of the tiebreaker. So those will be the 12 teams that kick us off at the very top of the order. And again, we're able to set up the conference rules. It'll be no divisions, max conference games, and the conference championship game, we previously randomized these, so it ended up on Hard Rock Stadium. But again, conference championship game, top team by conference record is the tiebreaker. So that is the SEC. Tier number 2 is going to be the Big Ten. And we kick it off with a team coming over from the ACC, and that will be the Miami Hurricanes. So Miami, the first team in that conversation. Team number 2 ends up being the Wisconsin Badgers, who maintain their spot. Team number 3, coming over from the Pac-12. Ends up being the Florida Gators. And it didn't move them because of the team that we put there. That's fine. Let's just move. I had a feeling it was going to screw that up. We got to have at least 4 teams in the Pac-12, and it ends up being very weird. So, whatever. Whoops. Making a mess of this, aren't I? There we go. So, back to the Big Ten. We got Miami. We got Wisconsin. And the Florida Gators. Again, is team number 3. Team 4 of this second tier. Coming over from independent status, the LSU Tigers. LSU in tier number 2. We also have already in this conversation Penn State maintain their spot. Coming over from independent status. Where the hell did I put them? Hold on. See, this will be a problem is, oh shit, where the hell did I put certain people? Ole Miss. Get that spot in the Big Ten. In our second tier. Tier number 7. Coming over from the ACC, it ends up being the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville's there. Team number 8. Coming over from the Big 12. Ends up being Oklahoma State. We can swap them out with South Carolina. That should be fine. Team number 9. I lied. South Carolina. Ended up being the very next team on the board. We'll move down Iowa. Next up, team number 10. Seahawks, what's up? If you knew what we were doing before and we ran into a glitch, we have to restart. Team number 10 ends up being Central Florida. Team 11, here in Tier 2, coming over also from the Big 12, ends up being the Utah Utes. And the final team in this second tier ends up being our lovely, lovely friends from Missouri. So we'll move Mizzou for Washington. So for the Big Ten, our second tier, we got to move out Indiana. We got to move out the Maryland Terps. And we got to move out the UCLA Bruins. We also have to move out USC, shockingly. They're going to end up being in the third tier, I'm pretty sure. And the final team that wasn't supposed to be here, Minnesota. All right, so there you go. That is the Season 1 Big Ten. Still some of the best teams in the game, but they didn't quite crack the top tier's worth for the top 12. And then in terms of conference rules, again, no divisions, max out the conference games, and we randomly spun a wheel and ended up on Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the Big Ten. Just double checking our list, but yeah, looks good. Tier number 3 ends up being the Big 12. Filio, we were terrible, and now we're having to restart because of a glitch. Yes, you're going to hear me say that a lot, everybody. I'm sorry. First team in the Big 12 ends up being the Arkansas Razorbacks. We'll have them replace like Houston. I don't think Houston will stick around. So we got Arkansas. Mr. 12 overall took the campaign down. He sure did. Our second team in this conference ends up being Auburn. We can move Arizona for now. I'm probably going to have to move them back. Team number 3, they're already here. The Baylor Bears. Team number 4, coming over from the ACC, ends up being Boston College. Team 5, also coming over from the ACC, we have SMU. Team 6, they're already here, the TCU Horned Frogs. Team number 7 ends up being the USC Trojans. Team number 8, already in this conference. The Iowa Hawkeyes. Team number 9. Coming over from the ACC, the NC State Wolfpack. Team number 10. I got to find them. It's Nebraska. They are coming back. Team number 11. Also coming over from the ACC, the North Carolina Tar Heels. And the final team of Tier 3 ends up being the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So again, that is tier number 3 with the Big 12. So Arizona State needs to be set to independent for the moment. Cincinnati didn't make the cut for a top 3. Colorado didn't make the cut for the top 3. And Rutgers, I think we moved the wrong team somewhere along the lines. We certainly did. We got Arkansas, Auburn, Baylor. It was Iowa that we moved instead of K-State. Whoops. What the hell? How the hell did I move Iowa? Were they an independent? Did I look right at them? Did I move them to the ACC accidentally? I sure did. There they are. There we are. That looks better. Arkansas, Auburn, Baylor, Boston College, SMU, TCU, USC, Iowa, NC State, Nebraska, UNC, Texas Tech. There you go. The new Big 12. Tier number 3. And their randomly generated neutral site was Ford Field. Tier number 4 was decided to be the ACC. And we start off with Arizona State. Just moving for BYU for the moment. Team number 2. Also coming over from independent status for the moment. I lied. Pac-12 ends up being UCLA. Team number 3. We have the Virginia Tech Hokies, who are already here. Team number 4 ends up being the California Golden Bears. Team number 5. We can track them down. Ends up being the Washington Huskies. Team 6. I wish they were already here, but they aren't. Team number 6 ends up being West Virginia. Team 7. Also got to track them down really quickly. We have the Colorado Buffaloes. Team number 8. We have Kentucky. Team number 9. Also got to track them down really quickly. It ends up being the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Team 10. Literally just moved them. Iowa State. Team 11 is already here. Purdue. The old Boilermakers. And team number 12 ends up being, from the American, the Memphis Tigers. So Arizona State, California, Colorado, Iowa State, Northwestern. You got to go independent temporarily. We got Virginia temporarily going independent. We got Wake Forest temporarily going independent. And the final team to move out, the Stanford Cardinal, temporarily going independent. So that is the ACC, as it'll start off in Season 1. Again, the 4th tier, as we rank teams by highest overall to lowest overall, max out the conference games. Neutral site was selected as Caesar Superdome for the 4th tier, the ACC. Now, the first time we did this, we had independent status be the 5th tier, decided to make a change. Now, controversially, maybe in terms of conference prestige, whatever. But Twitch chat, you guys, decided to vote the Pac-12 should be the 5th tier. So indeed they will be. We're going to rebuild the Pac-12. And we start off on the hunt. We start off on the hunt for Michigan State being our first representative. Second team being added to this rebuilt conference is going to be Syracuse. Our argument, there's no conference championship game in the independent. That's true. There's technically no conference championship game for the Pac-12. At least the screen won't show it, even though it does exist and it does happen. Let's see. You got Syracuse in there. Team number 3 ends up being the Kansas Jayhawks. Team number 4. They are also not here yet. We have the Indiana Hoosiers. Team number 5. I was a little bit surprised at this one. But coming over from the American, shout out to San Antonio. Beasts. Absolute beasts. San Antonio are in. Next up, we say hello to Pittsburgh. After that, team number 7 in the 5th tier, we have the Stanford Cardinal. Team number 8, the inspiration for our team name. It's the Green Wave of Tulane. Will they end up being our greatest rivals? Time will tell. Team number 9. We say hello to Cincinnati. Kansas State temporarily. Team number 10. For the relocation, we have Northwestern. And then 11 is already here, Arizona. And number 12, moving out for the Maryland Terps. All the way from the Mountain West, Boise State. So Arizona, Boise State, Kansas, Michigan State, Stanford, Syracuse, Cincy, Indiana, Northwestern, Pittsburgh, Tulane, and San Antonio in Tier 5. This newly reborn Pac-12. Again, max out the games. Conference championship game was decided on being Raymond James Stadium, funnily enough. And there we go. That is team number 5. Tier 5, I should say. Tier 6 is the Mountain West. And again, based on rating, we look to, I don't even know where the hell we put them. Oregon State heads to the Mountain West, as do, funny enough, geographically, the Duke Blue Devils. The third team ends up being Houston. Team number 4 in this 6th tier. Finally have the landing spot for Kansas State. Team number 5. We move over Virginia. Team number 6. Let's say hello to a team where I don't know where I put them. Vanderbilt. Into the Mountain West. Team number 7. Rutgers. For this tier. Tier number 8 is Georgia Tech. Moving over to the Mountain West. Next up, number 9. Shout out to Gaz for the follow, by the way.
I'm just trying
We have
to
the Maryland Terps. Let that alert go. Illinois moves over. And the final 2 end up being... Would you say this is better than Madden? Yes. The final 2 end up being Fresno State and Mississippi State. Which means we got to move out Hawaii to independent status temporarily. Utah State, we also got to move you out. UNLV, not in these ranks. And the Wyoming Cowboys, unfortunately. We do love our Cowboys, so there you go. That is the Mountain West. In what ways? Most ways, to be honest. In the vast majority of ways, is this game better than Madden? Gameplay, it's just pick a conversation. It's probably better than Madden, shockingly. So again, Duke, Oregon State, Houston, Kansas State, Virginia, Vanderbilt, Rutgers, Georgia Tech, Maryland, Illinois, Fresno State, and Mississippi State. The 6th tier of 11 total. So these guys are mid-table in the Mountain West. By conference record, and we decided on... Oh, you know what? We actually made a mistake. This was Raymond James Stadium. And we go back to the Pac-12, and they were supposed to be in Everbank. There you go. And Chad, I'd love to answer random questions about me, like favorite movie. I cannot possibly focus right now. I got to make sure we don't screw anything up here. I'm already frustrated enough that we're having to restart, but respect for jumping back in and remaking everything. It's a super fun idea. It's a pain in the ass, but at least I get the most updated version of my custom jerseys I made. Trying to find the positives, you know? Doing my best. Again, there you go. The Mountain West, Raymond James Stadium, 11 teams. There you go. Tier number 7 is the American Conference. And we start off with the USF, who are already here. After that... we need to find our friends at Wake Forest. And then our friends, the Mormons. Gotta move them Mormons over to the 7th tier. After that, we gotta find... Nope, not saying it. Not gonna get myself in trouble. We have Liberty. That's fun, right? Yeah, Liberty. Woo. Everyone loves Liberty. Then, team number 5 is San Diego State. Team number 6, back from independent status, UNLV. Team number 7 is already here, Florida Atlantic. Still better, yeah, still better than roster editing in NHL, exactly. Next up, we have Utah State. Team number 9 ends up being Washington State. Team number 10, whoops. They're already here, the Temple Owls. Next up, we have... Texas State, the Babcats. Coming over to the American. It'll let me, and it did. And the last team that we need to move over is Nevada. So for the American, we need to move Charlotte to independent status. East Carolina. Dallas, California. People made that joke before. There you go. I beat you to it. The North Texas Mean Green. Got to move them out. We got to move Rice out of here. No, we don't, right? Yeah, we do. For a second, I thought I made another mistake. The Golden Hurricane of Tulsa. Move them to independent status. And the last team we have to move out is Navy. There you go. That is the 7th of 11 tiers, the American Conference, with BYU, FAU, and the such. And you can see 80 overall, 81, 79. Like there's a decent little range there for the American. And we are putting them in Camping World Stadium. Ended up being the randomly generated neutral site. Tier number 8 ends up being the Sun Belt. And we start off here by adding in San Jose State. Next up, they are already here. it is Arkansas State. Old Red Wolves. After that, a team we have to bring in, it's North Texas. North Texas, good to go. And then coming over. Oh shit, where are they? Hello? Hello? I mean, they shouldn't, like, I might. What? There we go, the Mac. Still Toledo. For some reason, I thought I moved them earlier. Toledo! Holy Toledo, they made it. After that, team number 5 is going to be Colorado State. Team number 6, we have the UAB Blazers. Team number 7 ends up being the Louisiana Raging Cajun. We're already here. After that, we say hello to Charlotte. Now, technically, this is where UConn would have gone next, but since we've replaced them, we'll skip the line. And it'll end up being East Carolina, who make it into the Sun Belt. Again, UConn would have gone there. Let me make a note of this. All right, so East Carolina is in. After that, team number 10, they're already here. It's App State. Team number 11 is Rice. And team number 12, funny enough, is South Bama. So that is for the 8th tier. So we need to move out Georgia Southern. We also need to move James Madison. Marshall. Temporarily moving you. Southern Miss did not make it into that category. Nor did Monroe. Or the Troy Trojans. And the last team to move out was Old Dominion. There you go. That is the 8th tier, the Sun Belts. See, 79s, 78s for ratings. Nothing too crazy. Of course, divisions off, conference games up, and this was generated as the Rose Bowl. We'll change these eventually. Top team by conference record. There we go. Again, the Sun Belt complete. Tier number 9, the sweet, beautiful MAC. The MAC, the MAC, the MAC. We start off with Southern Mississippi. After that, back to independent status. I lied. Over to Conference USA with Western Kentucky. After that, back over to Conference USA with Louisiana Tech. And team number 4, Marshall. Team number 5 ends up being the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa. Ah, Bakersfield. Not for me. Not for me, not for me. We got Tulsa, team number 6, where we see UMass land. Team number 7. Coming over from Conference USA, it's FIU. Team number 8 is already here, Miami of Ohio. Team number 9, Hawaii. Make sure they went there. And then your final 3 teams for this tier end up being Let's see. We have Wyoming. We have Sam Houston. And last but not least, they're already here, Western Michigan. So Northern Illinois. Take you guys out. Ball State. Akron. Actually moving a lot of teams here. We got to move out Buffalo. Central Michigan. I mean, the MAC is unrecognizable. Eastern Michigan. And last but not least, Kent State. Hawaii in the Mid-Atlantic is wild, isn't it? I mean, that's some travel involved for these teams. That is for sure. Again, Tier 10, the MAC, randomly generated as Commander Stadium for their neutral site game. There we go. And then your final regular conference ends up being Conference USA, where we have, from independent status, Georgia Southern. Next up, surprise, surprise, Georgia State. Gonna have some Georgian representatives here. Next up, the Troy Trojans. After that, Mid-Tennessee State. Also moving over, Central Michigan. And what would a division with Central Michigan be without Eastern Michigan? The Navy. Midshipmen. The New Mexico State Aggies. The Northern Illinois Huskies. Bowling Green. Shout out Mills with Bowling Green. A bit of a surprise to me, but Jacksonville State. And the final team is Coastal Carolina. That is your 10th tier, Conference USA. Meaning, and we had State Farm Stadium for them, meaning the rest of the teams are an independent. The 14 remaining. So how this is going to work is every other promotion relegation is decided via conference, right? But for this one, independent strictly comes down to who the best teams happen to be. Comes down to record. So theoretically, if we wanted to, we could sit here and say, let's play as many FCS teams as we can, even though I think it limits us to one. But we can be pretty selective with our schedule. That's not how we're going to do it. But we can be pretty selective with our schedule if we wanted to try and bump our way up. But to be able to even get into conference contention, we first have to work our way up, as do the rest of these teams. So when it comes to this setup, what I will do is we have a section in my Discord. It's easy enough to find this. There should be links and everything. I'm going to edit this page. If you want to know exactly how all the teams are set up, in what order they're set up, conferences and everything, apparently my message is too long. Hate to see it. Also, it really, you'll find it here, right? You'll find it here in the NCAA setup section. Because, yeah, this is just, of course, something else has to be a pain in the ass right now, doesn't it? something else has to be like, actually, let's not work the way it's supposed to. And even then, the formatting on this is going to make it look like shit. But, whatever. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. As a fellow pro bug finder, I get it. Yeah. Well, you know. We do what we got to do. We do it for the love of the game. We will obviously be taking over an independent status team, our own Blue Moose of TOUGLANE. But that's custom conferences. Everything else is set up. Just going to get into the Dynasty settings. But again, this was going to be very setup heavy, given the restart. I'm still going to put it on All-American. A lot of people have said a lot about Heisman. Oh, fuck it. I'll put it on Heisman. Whatever. Coach firing, we're going to turn off because I'd hate to get to the top tier and then get fired. XP setting will be set to slowest because I hate myself. Any player can edit, it's fine. Play cooldown. I just won't be able to spam the same play time and time again. We're going to do 8-minute quarters, accelerated clock. Again, we're not going to play every second of every game. But it is going to be a good mix of playing and simming. All of that's good. Auto-recruiting we do not want. There we go. If you're not playing on Heisman, then you're not playing. Well, there you go. So I've heard. But there we go. After all of that, we're back on track. God help me if things go poorly again. But we'll take control of our custom team, the Blue Moose of TOUGLANE, one more time as a head coach. We're obviously going to make our own head coach. Now, previously, we went as the recruiter. I'm still going to do the same thing because we need all the help that we can get. Shout out to Always Be Cruton, but we are going to be
putting your team in the best position to succeed.
The one and the only. The one and the only. Toogie B. Cruton. Could have been Toogie B. Crouton, but there you go. Our offensive playbook, it says UConn by default. That's not going to happen. I put some thought into this. Now, we used this the first time we went through it. Honestly, I really like the power spread for the offense. And a base 4-3 defense works for me. Alma mater, obviously, we can't choose our own college. I'm just going to put it as Boston College, whatever. But I do want our pipeline to be set to New England, so we have the local area covered. Adapted AI, we want it to be a little bit normal, no huddle style. We do want to be a little bit aggressive, though, offensively as well. You know, basically don't be afraid to do what we got to do. Be aggressive, take advantage of the option runs that we have. Unfortunately, there's no fat, bald man for a head. There is someone that almost looks like Lewis Hamilton's brother. Just give me the whitest man possible. That's what I need, is just the whitest man possible. That's a white man right there. I forget what frickin' player face we took last time. And I can't even pick a bald guy. Do you know how frickin' frustrating that is, not be able to pick a bald guy? There we go. You're the most generic man I've ever seen. Perfect. Give me a generic white man. I want him to be an absolute hoss. Hey, maybe not that tall. There you go. There you go. An absolute hoss. And as we do, who wears polos anymore? Give me my only other shirt option, baby. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So,
congratulations.
Congratulations is right. Again, you can tell by the UConn logo, it still technically registers you as taking over for UConn instead of like UConn just disappeared. Again, there's no way on TeamBuilder to have it react to you as being like an expansion. It just has it as, oh, you're replacing. So that is what it is. But hey, we'll start the journey again. I didn't get too attached to the players that we brought in the first time. We were able to bring in some good players, but no absolutely elite options. So it's not the end of the world. But we'll make the best of it as we move on and get everything set up. Take 2 for TOUGLANE, huh?